Dissolution of marriage under Hindu law. What does dissolution of marriage or divorce mean? There is no available definition of divorce or dissolution of marriage in the Statute of Hindu Marriage Act 1955. English dictionary reads divorce as legal dissolution of marriage by a court or other competent body or according to forms locally recognized. Similarly, the meaning of the word divorce, as indicated in Webster, the third new international dictionary, reads as legal dissolution in whole or in part of marriage relation by a court or other body having competent authority. Section 2 of the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 tells about the applicability of the Act. The Act is applicable to all the sections of Hindu, that is, Vaishva, Lingayat or followers of Brahmos, Prarthana or Arya Samaj, and to any person who is a Sikh, Buddhist or Jain by religion, in accordance with Article 44 of Constitution of India. It is also applicable to all those persons who are permanent resident of India and are not Muslims, Jews, Christians or Parsis by religion. Divorce under Hindu Marriage Act 1955. The Hindu Marriage Act 1955 was enacted with the purpose of providing a uniform law in case of marriage and divorce to all the sections of Hindu and others. It is a codified marriage law between Hindu and introduced provision related to divorce and separation. Dissolution of marriage under Hindu law means complete breakdown of marriage. The spouses would not have to reside together once dissolution of marriage takes place. Under the Hindu Marriage Act 1955, both the husband and the wife have been given a right to get their marriage dissolved by a decree of divorce on more than one grounds specifically enumerated in section 13. The broader classification of the ground for divorce is as follows. It is divided into three categories, that is, party at fault, party not at fault, and irretrievable breakdown. Party at fault: adultery, cruelty, desertion, conversion, renunciation, and presumption of death. Party not at fault: venereal diseases, insanity, and leprosy, where party is not at all at fault. Irretrievable breakdown, separation. Party at fault, adultery. The definition of adultery can be stated as consensual sexual intercourse between a married person and person, whether married or not, of opposite gender. The word adultery implies extramarital intercourse on the part of either of the spouses. The marriage between the spouses should be in operation and sexual intercourse should be with a person of opposite gender and other than the spouse. The act must be consensual and voluntary. Mere attempt to sexual intercourse will not amount to adultery. It follows that unless one willingly consents to the act, there can be no adultery. Unless one willingly consents to the act, there can be no adultery. If wife can establish that the correspondent raped her, then the husband would not be entitled to divorce. At present, Indian matrimonial statutes recognize one act of adultery is enough to constitute a ground for divorce. In case of Subbaramma versus Saraswati, 1966, the court observed that if an unrelated person is found along with a young wife after midnight in her bedroom in an actual physical juxtaposition, unless there is some explanation forthcoming from that which is compatible with an innocent interpretation, the inference that a court of law can draw it that two must be committing the act of adultery together. The offense of adultery need not be proved beyond a reasonable doubt and can now be proved by preponderance of evidence. The Supreme Court has also reiterated the point that the concept of proof beyond a reasonable doubt is only to be applied to the criminal cases and not to the civil matters, and certainly not to the matters where the personal relationships, such as husband and wife, are involved. The second ground is cruelty. Cruelty has not been defined anywhere because it has been noticed that human nature and conducts are different. It has been aptly remarked by Supreme Court in Ravi Kumar versus Zulmi Devi 2010 that cruelty has no definition and its definition is not possible. In other words, the concept of cruelty is very subjective. It may vary with place, time, social and economic condition of the society and persons. Acts of cruelty are behavioral manifestation stimulated by different factors in the life of spouses and their surroundings, and therefore each case has to be decided on the basis of its own set facts. Both mental and physical cruelty are included as cruelty in modern times. While physical cruelty is easy to determine, it is difficult to say what mental cruelty consists of. Perhaps mental cruelty is lack of such conjugal kindness which inflicts pain of such degree and duration that it adversely affects the health, mental or bodily, of the spouse on whom it is inflicted. In GVN Kameshwar Rao versus G. Gilly, AIR 2002 SC 576, it has been clearly said by the Supreme Court that cruelty need not to be such nature so that it create a reasonable apprehension that would be harmful for the practitioner to live with the other party. It would be a cruelty if the act is committed with the intention to cause suffering to the other party. Further, where a particular act would constitute cruelty or not, social status of the party would be a relevant consideration. Desertion. Living together is the essence of marriage. Living apart is its negation. This negation of very essence of marriage is what the law term as a desertion. It means desertion of the petitioner by the other party to the marriage without any reasonable cause and without the consent or against the wish of the party, and includes the willful neglect of the petitioner by the other party to the marriage and its grammatical variation and cognate expression. There are two essential conditions required on the part of deserting spouse for the offense of desertion: the factum of separation and the intention to bring cohabitation permanently to an end. There are two types of desertion: actual desertion and constructive desertion. Actual desertion. It is necessary to prove that the respondent have abandoned the matrimonial home. If one party leaves the matrimonial home with the consent of the other party, he or she is not guilty of desertion. A mere separation without necessary intention does not constitute desertion. Constructive desertion. Desertion cannot always be equated with the separate living by the party to the marriage. It can be proved while living under the same roof or in the same house. If a spouse intentionally neglects the other spouse, then also he is guilty of desertion, even though both are living under same house. Where a situation or circumstances are created either by actual use of force or by conduct of one spouse that other spouse is compelled to leave the matrimonial house, it constitutes constructive desertion of creator of the situation or circumstances. If one party leaves the matrimonial home with the consent of the other party, he or she is not guilty of desertion. When the parties are living apart from each other under a separation agreement or by mutual consent, it is clear consent of living away with the consent of the other. Desertion must be for a continuous period of 2 years. To constitute a ground for judicial separation or divorce, desertion must be for the entire statutory period of 2 years preceding the date of presentation of the petition. Desertion may come to an end by following ways. Resumption of cohabitation. If a party resumes cohabitation at any time before the presentation of the petition, the desertion comes to an end. Resumption of cohabitation must be by mutual consent of both the parties, and it should imply complete reconciliation. The desertion ends only when the deserting party goes to the matrimonial home mentally prepared to end the cohabitation. It is necessary to prove the marital intercourse was also resumed. Resumption of marital intercourse. Resumption of marital intercourse is an important aspect of resumption of cohabitation. Sometimes resumption of marital intercourse may terminate desertion. If resumption of marital intercourse was a step towards the resumption of cohabitation, it will terminate desertion even if the deserted spouse backs out. Conversion. When one of the spouse voluntarily relinquishes one's religion and adopts another distinctive religion after formal ceremony, it is called conversion. Under Hindu Marriage Act 1955, conversion implies that one has adopted some other major religion which cannot be regarded as Hindu religion. If a spouse changes to such religion whose followers are not governed by Hindu law, it is considered as a matrimonial offense. In case either of the spouse converts into Sikhism or Jainism, then this provision will not apply because both religions are covered under Hindu law. If a person converts into Islam or Christianity, then it will attract the provision of Section 13, subsection 1, Clause 2 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955 and shall be regarded as matrimonial wrong. Where a marriage takes place under Hindu law, the parties acquire a status and certain rights by the marriage itself under law governing the Hindu marriage, and if one the party are allowed to dissolve the marriage by adopting or enforcing any personal law, it would be a tantamount to destroying existing rights of other spouse who continues to be a Hindu. If the non-convert chooses to continue the marital relation with the converted spouse, then he or she can live in the relationship. In Sarla Mughal President Kalyani and Other versus Union of India and Others 1955 SEC 635, the Supreme Court considered the question whether Hindu husband by embracing Islam can contract a second marriage during the subsistence of first marriage, and whether the husband would be guilty of the offence under section 494 of Indian Penal Code. It was held that it is thus obvious from the catena of case law that marriage celebrated under particular personal law cannot be dissolved by the application of another personal law to which one of the spouse converts and the other refuses to do so. Renunciation. If either of the spouse enters into any religious order by renouncing the world, it becomes sufficient ground for divorce in certain countries. In India, with exception of Hindu law, no other matrimonial law permits divorce on the ground of renunciation of the world by one spouse. Certain necessary ceremonies are required to perform before one would be deemed to have entered into a religious world. Without without the performance of man or woman cannot be considered or have entered into any religious order. In Baldev Prasad versus Arya Pratinidhi Sabha 52 ILR 1930, court observed that it cannot be doubted that a mere fact that a person declares that he has become a sannyasi or that he is described as such or wears clothes ordinarily worn by sannyasi couldn't be a sufficient to take him as a perfect sannyasi. It is essential that he must enter into the fourth stage of his life in accordance with the necessary requirements. He must not only retire from all worldly interests and become dead to the world, but also attend this. He must perform the necessary ceremonies, without which the renunciation will not be complete. Presumption of death. When a person hasn't heard of being alive for a long period of time, he or she is presumed to be dead. Absence of spouse for a longer period has been recognized as a ground of divorce in many countries of the world. Under Hindu Marriage Act, a spouse can claim a divorce under this provision when their partner has not been heard of being alive for a period of 7 years or more by those persons who could naturally have been heard of it, had that party been alive. In Nirmu versus Nikaram, 1968 Delhi 260, it was held that if a person presumes the death of his or her spouse and marries someone else without getting a decree of divorce, and then the spouse may after return question the validity of second marriage. Next is when party is not at fault. Venereal diseases. Venereal has been defined by Pollack and Clusterberg as linked with sexual intercourse. In Venereal Diseases Act 1917 of the United Kingdom, it has been defined as syphilis, choronia, or soft cancre for the purpose of the Act. Venereal diseases cause impotency and therefore comes as a ground for divorce. Under Indian statutes, the question as to whether the petitioner was ignorant or it was within his or her knowledge that the other partner whom she or he was going to marry was suffering from any venereal disease does not arise. As the Act does not provide with any time barred as well as before filing the case, suffering from venereal disease will be sufficient ground to seek a decree of divorce. Madras High Court in Rangaswamy versus T. Arindam AIR 1957, Madras 243, ruled that such capacity may arise in various ways. It may be due to some physical or organic defect. It may be on account of existence of some loathsome or incurable disease like syphilis, which may result in incapacity to consummate marriage. It may arise due to the invincible repugnance or hatred for sexual intercourse in general or in relation to a particular individual. Insanity. Insanity means mental disorder of any kind. Mental disorder includes mental illness, arrested or incomplete development of mind, psychopathic disorder, or any other disorder or disability of mind, include schizophrenia. The Hindu Marriage Act 1955 provides a dissolution of marriage only in certain kind of mental disorder of the respondent. It is required to prove that the respondent has been incurable of unsound mind. The petitioner, merely by proving that the respondent is of unsound mind or that he suffers from mental disorder, cannot obtain divorce. In the case Joginder versus Surjit, AIR 1985, Punjab and Haryana 128, the court observed the newly worded clause is bound to create difficulties in its interpretation. Mental disorder or schizophrenia should be such a quality that the petitioner is not reasonably expected to live with the respondent. In Ajrai Shiv Prasad Mehta versus Bai Vasumati, AIR 1969, Gujarat 48, the court observed that the test to be applied is whether, by a reason of his mental condition, the husband is capable of managing himself and the affairs, and if not, whether he can hope to restore to a stage in which he will be able to do. And the test of the incapacity is that of the reasonable person. In Vipin Chandra versus Madhuri Bain, AIR 1963, Gujarat 250, the Gujarat High Court propounded the following three propositions. It is for the petitioner to establish unsoundness of mind, that is, burden of proof is on the petitioner. The unsoundness of mind should be incurable, and the respondent cannot be compelled to undergo medical examination, though on account of his refusal. An adverse interference may be drawn. Leprosy. Hindu Marriage Act provides leprosy as a ground for divorce, but this provision differs to a certain extent from the provision of Special Marriage Act. Under the provision of Hindu Marriage Act, it must be virulent, incurable form of leprosy where the Special Marriage Act does not lay down such requirement. Petitioner seeking relief under Hindu Marriage Act must prove that the respondent has been suffering from leprosy and that the leprosy is virulent and incurable form. And the third is irretrievable breakdown grounds or separation. Separation may be of two kinds: separation by mutual consent, agreement, or the voluntary separation, and separation by judicial pronouncement. The law of India has recognized only judicial separation under a decree of court and not separation by agreement. Judicial separation is a legal separation of the husband and wife through a petition filed in the court either by husband or the wife. Divorce by mutual consent. To get divorce under Section 13B of Hindu Marriage Act 1955, it is extremely important that the parties have few agreements on issues, since it helps the court in carrying out the separation method at a quicker pace. To initiate the divorce proceeding, it is necessary that both husband and wife must be living separately for a minimum period of 1 year to Section 13B of Hindu Marriage Act 1955. The provision also provides a cooling off period of 6 months after the first motion is initiated by the parties. Though this cooling off provision is not mandatory, it can be waived at the discretion of the court. Separation by judicial pronouncement. The law in India has recognized only judicial separation under a decree of court and not separation by agreement. Judicial separation is a legal separation of the husband and wife, though the petition filed in the court either by husband or the wife. In case of judicial separation, a couple can seek a decree of divorce under the ground of adultery and cruelty without any reasonable excuse for 2 years. Special provision for women. Section 13 Clause B of Hindu Marriage Act 1955 provides certain provision under which only wife can seek divorce. They are as follows. Bigamy. According to Section 11 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955, a marriage is null and void ab initio if at any time of the marriage either of the party had a living spouse. Bigamy is a cognizable, compoundable, and bailable offense. Rape, sodomy, and bestiality. Section 13B, Clause 2, Subclause 2 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955 states that a wife can file petition for divorce on the ground of rape, sodomy, and bestiality. These three terms have not been mentioned anywhere in the Act of 1955. Failure of maintenance by husband. As per Section 13, Clause 2, Subclause 3 of the Act, a wife can obtain a decree of divorce if, in case within the ambit of Section 18 of the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 1956, or in proceeding under Section 125 of CRPC 1973, and an order has been passed according to which the husband has to provide maintenance to his wife in spite of the fact that she has been living apart and there has been no cohabitation between the parties from the date on which the decree was passed. Option of puberty. As per Section 13, Clause 2, Subclause 4 of the Act, if a marriage is solemnized before the bride attains the age of 15 years, then she can repudiate the marriage before she attains the age of majority, irrespective of the fact that the marriage was consummated or not. And here we come on the conclusion for the grounds of divorce. These grounds of divorce emerged only after passing the Hindu Marriage Act 1955. Before that, divorce was seen as too radical for Hindu society. It is safe to say that women are one who are most benefited from this legislation. Women don't need to be victims of injustice caused to them within the four walls of the house anymore. To prevent the hasty divorce, the law lays down certain restrictions and grounds for obtaining a divorce. Before obtaining divorce, the parties may first obtain a decree of judicial separation, after which divorce may be obtained.